When is Star Trek? Section 31 set in the franchise's timeline. When is Star Trek? Section 31 set in the franchise's timeline. In the vast cosmos of the Star Trek universe, spanning centuries, quadrants, timelines, and species, few institutions have sparked as much intrigue and moral ambiguity as Section 31. Long whispered about in the shadows of Federation utopianism, this clandestine organization has been an enigmatic force operating beneath the polished ideals of Starfleet. Now, with the upcoming release of Star Trek, Section 31, fans are preparing to dive into the shadows once more. But one burning question is on everyone's mind. When exactly is Star Trek Section 31 set in the franchise's timeline? To answer this, we must journey through space and time, tracing the origin of Section 31 across different series, characters, and centuries. Let's piece together this puzzle through both canon and clever speculation, starting from its foundation all the way to its current re-emergence in Star Trek, Discovery, and beyond. The birth of Section 31, 2130s to 2160s. Long before the Federation was officially founded in 2161, Earth was already preparing for its expansion into the stars. According to canon, Section 31's roots lie in Article 14, Section 31 of the Starfleet Charter, a clause that allows for extreme measures in times of extraordinary threat. But unlike the organizations it later hides beneath, Section 31 predates even the United Federation of Planets itself. It first emerged during the days of the United Earth Starfleet in the 22nd century. Fans of Star Trek Enterprise will remember that Malcolm Reed, the ship's tactical officer, had a past with Section 31. In episodes like Affliction and Divergence, we see early iterations of the organization quietly manipulating events behind the scenes, often without the knowledge of Starfleet Command. This places the original Section 31 activity around the 2130s to 2160s, decades before the events of Star Trek, Discovery, or the original series. At this stage, it was more rogue intelligence agency than shadow government, a ghost of Earth's pre-Federation paranoia that never quite disappeared. The Section 31 of the 23rd century, Shadows in the Age of Hope. Jump ahead a century, and we're in the familiar territory of the original series TOS set around the 2260s. Interestingly, Section 31 doesn't explicitly appear during this era on screen, perhaps a testament to how good they are at staying hidden. However, retroactive continuity allows for some speculation. Given their clear activity before and after this time period, it's very likely that Section 31 continued to operate in the shadows during TOS, quietly influencing high-level decisions while maintaining plausible deniability. This is the golden age of exploration where Captain Kirk, Spock, and McCoy boldly go where no one has gone before. But even during this era of optimism and expansion, it's hard to believe that every threat was handled with diplomacy and phasers alone. Section 31 likely played a role in securing early diplomatic victories or neutralizing threats before they ever made it to the Enterprise's sensors. Discovery's jumpstart, 2250s to 3190s. It's not until Star Trek Discovery that Section 31 makes its on-screen presence fully felt in a big, bold way. Initially set in the 2250s, Discovery reintroduces Section 31 with flair, casting Michelle Yeoh as Emperor Philippa Georgiou, a Terran from the Mirror Universe who becomes entangled with the organization. In Season 2 of Discovery, Section 31 is portrayed as a fully developed and influential intelligence arm of Starfleet, complete with its own ships, agents, and advanced technology. But what makes Discovery particularly relevant to Section 31's new series is Georgiou's arc. After serving with the organization, she eventually becomes the center of what will be the Star Trek Section 31 narrative. At the end of Discovery Season 3, the crew jumps forward to the 32nd century circa 3189 to 3190s, effectively removing Georgiou from the main storyline. Her fate? Left uncertain until the announcement of Star Trek Section 31, a film or series that will follow her exploits. Section 31 and Georgiou, a post-Discovery journey? So what does this mean for Star Trek Section 31 setting? Based on statements from Paramount and Michelle Yeoh's involvement, it seems that the series will pick up after the events of Discovery Season 2, but before Discovery's time jump to the 32nd century. That would tentatively place the Section 31 series around the 2259 to 2261 timeframe, concurrent with the later years of Discovery Season 2 and potentially overlapping with the early years of Strange New Worlds, which is also set in the early 2260s. However, there's a twist. In Discovery Season 3's episode, Terra Firma, Georgiou undergoes a mysterious journey through a temporal doorway on the planet Danis V. She not only returns briefly to the mirror universe, but also experiences a spiritual/psychological reckoning. The Guardian of Forever, a deep-cut callback to the original series, then sends her to a time and place where she will be needed. This opens the door, literally and narratively, to Section 31 being set in a different time period entirely. It's possible Georgiou is sent to the 25th century, possibly overlapping with the post-Picard timeline. Or perhaps she's dropped somewhere between the TOS era and the TNG era during a time of political flux, conflict, or change, perfect conditions for Section 31 to thrive. Given Yo's versatility and the temporal nature of her exit from Discovery, the show could explore time hopping, multiverse espionage, or strategic manipulations across eras. The scope is wide, and the timeline is fluid. Tying it all together, canon and speculation. To recap, here are the most likely options for when Star Trek Section 31 is set. 1. Late 2250s to early 2260s Discovery era. Most direct and linear option. Picks up immediately after Discovery Season 2, before the time jump to the 32nd century. Section 31 is still powerful, and Georgiou is active in the prime timeline. 2. Post-Terra Firma 2030 to 25th century unknown mission. After being sent by the Guardian of Forever, Georgiou could be placed in a pivotal time between eras, perhaps the aftermath of the Dominion War or the pre-TNG era. Section 31 is ripe with potential missions. 3. Temporal Cold War style setting. A more ambitious possibility. Georgiou, now aware of multiple timelines, may be involved in preventing or facilitating key historical events across the centuries. Think Loki meets Star Trek, multiversal intrigue, and espionage. 4. Far future post-Discovery Season 5. Less likely, but possible if the showrunners want to explore how Section 31 evolves in the 32nd century. However, Georgiou is already gone before Discovery's future jump, so this would require more narrative gymnastics. Why it matters, Star Trek's moral compass. Beyond the when, the real heart of Section 31 is the moral complexity it brings to the Star Trek universe. If Starfleet is the dream of humanity at its best, Section 31 is the cold, pragmatic voice reminding us that sometimes dreams are defended by doing dirty work. Placing the show in a transitional era, such as the mid-23rd century or during the aftermath of the Dominion War in the 24th century, would give it fertile ground to explore this dynamic. Wars, rebellions, emergent threats from outside the Federation, even cultural schisms within, these are all catalysts for Section 31's activity. With Michelle Yeoh's Georgiou at the center, a character who has both ruled with fear and fought with honor, Section 31 can explore not only the politics of espionage, but also the deeply personal evolution of a warrior-turned-agent. It will be a tale of redemption, ruthlessness, and the hard choices made in the name of the greater good. Conclusion: a timeline written in shadows. So, when is Star Trek Section 31 set? The best guess is somewhere between 2259 and 2265, with temporal anomalies and secret missions potentially pushing it beyond that. The Guardian of Forever's involvement gives writers a flexible narrative tool to explore multiple timelines, allowing Section 31 to become more than just a prequel or a spin-off. It can become a bridge, a narrative key connecting the eras of Star Trek through one dangerous, complex character. In true Section 31 fashion, the show's precise placement in the timeline remains classified, hidden until the moment of impact. But whether we're looking into the past or the future, one thing is certain: Star Trek Section 31 is poised to illuminate the darkest corners of the final frontier.